What's good, said fam, my fellow creators, empowers, and developers. Look, everybody's talking about this storm that did come in some places, didn't come in other places, right? And whether it hit you or not, whether it's a real or it's hype, I want to talk to you about something important, more important than just this storm. Now, before we get into it, I want y'all to understand something. This is not about fear, right? Because we ain't never scared, right? We ain't never scared. It's not about living in fear. It's not about panicking. This is about being prepared. And the principles we're going to talk about today, they apply to any disruption, power outages, economic crashes, whatever life can throw at you. This is all about us. What we do, I'm creating this episode to empower you to develop a plan, right? To develop a prepared plan. So this episode is about empowerment. Because a lot of things in this world these days, a lot of things going on, I just feel like people don't understand the power that we have as a people. It's kind of like we get scared and people just start talking about whatever's going on and everything, and you just feel helpless and powerless. So the episode is about taking your power back. Whether you believe in the storm or not, whether you got hit by it or not, whether you're going through some things or not, by the end of this episode, you're going to be more ready for anything than you were 30 minutes ago. So let's get into it.
Welcome aboard the plane train. Please hold on. This train is departing. The next stop is for Seagates. C as in
Say it. Leg out. With that being said, with that being said, oh yeah. With that being said, with that being said, with that being said.
All right, so if you've never come across my page before, if you don't know me, I was in the military for 20 years. I was in the Air Force for 20 years. Security forces, aka cop. As far as I'm concerned, the security forces, the cop career field for the Air Force is the closest thing you're gonna have to the Army, is the closest thing you're gonna have to the Marines or anything like that. So as far as training goes, yeah, everybody else is in offices, flying planes, and so one of the things that I learned from basic training all the way throughout my career is being prepared. During my career, I learned that being prepared and having stuff on hand is key to any situation. Yeah, when you're back on the regular base, home duty station, you can get your DoorDash, you can go out to the club, you can dress in civilian clothes, you can do all this and do that. But I went on 8 deployments, 9 deployments. Some of them were nice, but some of them were not so nice. And the not so nice ones is when you have to learn how to live without. You don't have no cell phones, you don't have ATMs, cash, and none of that. There's been times to where I might fly out on a mission that's only supposed to last 4 hours, but the plane breaks down and now we're out here for 3 days. Can't wash your ass, can't do nothing. It's 120 degrees outside, but it feels like 200 because you're on this hot ass plane on concrete, and now you just stuck out here. So I learned a lot about being prepared. Even if it's a extra pair of shoestrings thrown in the bag somewhere, you never know what you're going to need. You never know when you might need it. So it's best to be prepared at all times. We didn't prepare for specific scenarios necessarily. We prepare for uncertainty. Prepare for uncertainty. Not just specific scenarios. Like if this storm, some of you might be in Florida and didn't get that affected by the storm. Atlanta didn't get as hit as hard as they said it was going to be, but my family back in Mississippi is without power right now, And I'm sure there's other places around who have been hit. That's kind of one of the blind sides that people don't understand, is just because they blew it up and they said what was supposed to happen, and it might not be really affecting you, that doesn't mean that there's somebody closer to the affected area. You know what I'm saying? Things branch out. If something happens over here, of course the people closest to it are going to be more affected. But if you're the further out you are, the less affected you are. But the people on the outside might be over here like, oh, y'all bought all them groceries. Oh, nothing even happened. Blah blah blah. Okay, nothing happened where you are, but that doesn't mean something didn't happen over here, right? Prepare for uncertainty, not scenarios. Because each scenario might be different. You know, we might be preparing for this storm. I'm sure a lot of you have watched the documentaries on Hulu, the Katrina documentaries, and how things happened with that, and how a lot of those people were displaced and not prepared and just kind of waiting to see what was going to happen and trusting that nothing was going to happen. But the uncertainty, okay, well, we have hurricanes all the time. California people like, we have earthquakes all the time. All right. And they think they can live through it. So you're just preparing for an earthquake and think you like that. But there's different scenarios, because these natural disasters, of course, bring on extra things. They got certain checklists that's only going to take you so far. You know what I'm saying? The rule of threes. So you can say 3 minutes with no air, 3 hours in harsh conditions with no shelter. We fixed that three. That's an ugly three, right? Y'all have to excuse my handwriting. I ain't the best at this. We got 3 days with no water. We have 3 weeks with no food. This is your hierarchy right here: air, shelter, water, and food. Make sure you have these. Now let's talk about what's practical. This is going to be your prep checklist right here. You need water. Normal times we need 1 gallon of water per person per day. You know, so if you got it for 3 days, to prepare for that. So if you got 2 people in the household, you're gonna need 6 gallons, so on and so forth. You do the math on that. Also, it's good to run a bathtub full of water. Clean out your tub. You know what I'm saying? Make sure y'all clean out y'all's tubs before you put the water in there, or if you ain't gonna use it, you never know. You ain't gonna drink it or nothing, but still, just it's a good idea to just clean out your tub every now and then, right? You can use this to flush your toilet, because you ain't gonna be able to flush your toilet if the water is off, and use it for other things that little handy non-consumable things that you might need. Even to kind of like, if you run out of the gallons of water, at least now you got some water you can like take a little whole bath in. Food, get stuff that you eat. I know a lot of people out there got kids like, y'all, I don't know what's up these days. You said your kids don't eat this, your kids don't eat that. They want to eat hot Cheetos, they want to eat junk or whatever it is. But get stuff that you eat. Keep it in canned goods, non-perishables, even stuff that you don't necessarily feel like you eat no more, but comes in handy and you've eaten it before. There's nothing wrong with doing that. Get some stuff that you eat, keep it in there. A lot of you prepared already. Don't eat up all the snacks. If you didn't get hit by the storm, don't eat up all the snacks. Just keep some of them for the next time something happens. So we're going to talk about some more of that in a minute. Make sure you got the power, got the lights, radios, chargers, meds. They have at least 30 days plus a first aid kit. If you don't have a first aid kit in your car, in your house, just ready to go, make sure you get a first aid kit. Go down to CVS, just grab one, Walgreens, grab a Walmart, wherever you go. Grab a first aid kit and just keep it on hand. They're always good to have on hand just in case something happens. All your documents, just your IDs, your social security cards, birth certificates, insurance, stuff like that. That's important. Make sure you gather your docs in one place. You should have a file of that already. Make sure you put it in a waterproof bag. Even if you got a gallon Ziploc, if you want to, you want to go low budget, or I'm sure Office Depot, Staples somewhere has some type of waterproof thing that you can put your documents in. You want to keep some cash on hand because if something goes down, the power goes out, ATMs are not going to work. So get cash, about $200 to $500 in small bills. Keep that on hand because ATM's not going to work, and if something goes down, you want to have a little cash on hand to make a little exchange, you know. And warmth. Make sure you get blankets, layer up. Even if you got to grab a pair of long johns, warmth for in the colder weather climates, especially, you know, like I said, Florida. Even y'all get some snow every now and then. You know, it dropped below 50 in Florida, and it's already cold. So it wouldn't even do y'all bad to keep a pair of long johns, some long thermal underwear, or whatever, just in a drawer somewhere for when it and if it does get cold, you got some warmth. Get blankets and stuff like that. I don't know if they really have kerosene heaters or gas heaters and stuff like that anymore. They got propane camping heaters that you can get, but you have to be careful with those because you don't want to burn down the house, and you also don't want to be inhaling any kind of toxic fumes by being cooped up, and you know end up breathing carbon monoxide the whole time and end up just going to sleep and never waking up again. So this right here is going to be your baseline. You just keep this at all times. It's not hard to do. If you got the water this time, and all the shelves are empty, so somebody got something. You know what I'm saying? I got some gallons of water over there. I might not use them this time, but I'm just gonna keep them somewhere until something does happen. Next time I'll have to prepare less. Eat the stuff that's gonna spoil, but if you got canned goods, you got stuff that's gonna keep for a while. Stick it in the top of the cabinet. I know you got an empty cabinet somewhere. Stick it in there and just leave it in there. You know, times get hard, money get low. You might have to grab a can of beans or something like that. But other than that, just leave it in there. Make sure you keep some portable chargers, radios, and stuff like that on hand as well. Now, here's the part that people sleep on. Everybody want to be balling out of control these days, but social capital, right? When I was deployed, being a cop, we defend the base. We're kind of like the muscle, you know. So we defend the base, have the guns. If something go down, then we jump into action. We also had limited resources. We had to depend on comm for communication. We had to depend on CE for our tents and our services for our cots and our blankets and for our food and the gym and all of that. We had to depend on medical. All these people got specialized skills, and I might need the comm guy, the medic, transportation, supply. You know, I need to make connections. I need to make networks. I need to make friends in these places. The same thing in the real world now. You understand who you're making friends with. Understand who you got in your circle, so that when it comes along, you can network and all put your resources together. Because your network, I told y'all, look, don't be picking on my right. Your network equals your net worth. And so this ain't just about going out and finding who you can take from. You got to have something to give as well. What resources do you have? What can you contribute to somebody? Don't come empty-handed. Come with something, even if it's just, you know, even if you are empty-handed, you got to be willing to work. You're gonna have to carry some stuff. You might have to, you know, use your hands, use something to help the situation along. This net worth is not in dollars. It's in survival, in resources, in real value, things that matter when none of this other stuff works, when the power is out, and when you don't have money, and when you don't have all this stuff that we've come accustomed to. So it goes into, who do you know? Who do you know? Do you know your neighbors? I live in this apartment building. I know the people that work in the office. I know there's some Russian family right down here down the hall. There's an Indian family across the way. I don't know if they like me too much, but they live across the way. I'm sure if something went down, you know, whatever problem they got, it'll be squashed. And there's a fine little cute girl. There's another door or two down over here. So if things go down, I'll be looking out if she needs to, you know, saying borrow some sugar or something like that. She lives right down the block right here. Do you know your neighbors? Do you know someone with a generator? You know anybody with medical training? I got like three exes that's nurses or whatever. You know what I'm saying? So I know a couple of people with medical training. As long as I can call them on the phone, but if to calm down, that's what I need. I need to make a medical connection here. I probably got one. I have to think about it. I know a lot of people here. You know somebody with a garden? Probably not. You know, back in Mississippi, we might know somebody with a garden. But what you want to do is you want to build these relationships now with your neighbors, people who have resources that you might not have access to, you know, and with skills that you might not have, storage, shelter, you know what I'm saying? There's nothing wrong with, especially in a family. If you have a large family and you got a well connected family, y'all can make a storage closet and just throw canned goods and rice and beans and stuff in some place somewhere and be stored up so when stuff does go down, you got a go-to spot. Organize your family to where you got a supply sergeant within the family who keeps track of whatever, keeps inventory of it, make sure, you know, that it stays clean, the rodents or nothing gets into it, you know. That's what it's all about. I'm sure a lot of immigrants and a lot of people are already up on this, but some of us people from right here in the states just just don't think like that. Or you want to wait to the last minute to come crying and say, oh yeah, you build these relationships now because the community beats the individual every time. Community beats the individual every time because as an individual, if you're trying to sustain over a long period of time, you're probably going to start to run out of resources. You're probably going to run into something that you don't have anymore. You're probably going to get low on something. And, you know, we don't have Batman's bank account and a butler to make us suits and make us, you know, specialized weapons to keep us sustained. You're going to have to end up depending on the community anyway. So have something to contribute and build yourself a community. This is how you move through uncertainty. Your people are your preparedness. Two heads are better than one, three heads are better than two, so on and so forth. So, yeah, we've covered what to do, the practical stuff, the moves you can make today. So, now I want to talk about why. Like, why now? Why talking about this storm that was supposed to hit that didn't hit with all this news going around? But before we get into that, hold on, let me grab something real quick. All right, I'm back. Exercise, exercise, exercise. Those of my military friends out there, you know what I'm saying, cops, fellow veterans know what this means. You and your boy kicking and talking about some, you know, what happened last week. They come on the radio. Plane just blew up on the flight line. Whatever it might be, whatever scenario. You got to jump into action. You got to act like this is real. It ain't real. It ain't real. It ain't really going on, but you got to act like it's going on, right? This is how we prepare for these things. So exercise, exercise, exercise. Maybe all this kind of big storm, the news announced all of this kind of stuff, getting everybody all worked up, getting people out here preparing just to see how we're going to react about stuff. Now I know some of y'all gonna think this part is too much, but some of y'all been waiting for this part. Either way, we're gonna talk about it because the military taught me something. It's called situational awareness. And that doesn't mean just what's going on in front of you. That don't mean just what you see. That means understanding the environment, right? The seen and the unseen. Let's talk about what people are seeing and what people are asking. I don't know about it, but I have heard stories about there is a such thing as weather control. Now, I'm not here to talk about what's real or not. I'm not about chemtrails and all that type of stuff, cloud seeding. I'm just here to talk about what people are asking and why people are asking these questions. Cloud seeding is real. You can find documentation on it. You can look it up on the internet. Cloud seeding is real. China used it for the Olympics. Dubai uses it. So it's a real thing. Also, HARP exists. Weather modification patterns do exist. Now, whether they're using this stuff the way people fear, that's the question. But when you look at history, the distrust isn't baseless. We got history. MK Ultra. We got Tuskegee. We got Northwoods. Mind control experiments. Medical experiments on black men. Proposed false flag operations. All real. All real. Realer than real deal Holyfield. All documented. So when people ask if they manipulate the weather, can you blame them? As we see, the storm didn't happen like they said it was going to happen, but you just watch what happens because of the announcement, right? Watch how people react. Watch what the government does. Social experiment. I started the segment off with exercise, exercise, exercise. So they might have the ability to do this, but not really turn it on as much, just to see what's going on, just to test things out. What could they be testing? They could be testing compliance. Are you testing panic response? Maybe supply chains. You got all these tariffs and all this kind of stuff going on out here. Compliance, panic response, supply chain. So even if it delays, now the grocery stores are backed up. A lot of people end up making money because anytime any crisis happens, the people who own the businesses, own the grocery stores, own stuff, they make a lot of money during this kind of stuff because we go out and we consume these things, we buy them or whatever. You know what I'm saying? If the economy's drop, they talk about how people don't have this, and that. So in order to get their pockets filled and quote unquote boost the economy or boost their sales, something like this can come along, and there's going to be people that are scrambling and without. But on the other end of the spectrum, there are going to be people who are making money. And they're collecting data on everything. I just recently got an iPhone 17, and even any app that I come to hold, will you allow this app to track and better serve you and track everything? Each and every app, each and every little thing on the phone wants to track everything that you're doing. You know, and it's hard to stay off the grid or whatever, but when you really think about these things and you just click the button, we all heard it before, and now you've got, they're collecting all the data. They're collecting everything that we do. Our movement patterns, our purchasing behavior, our social media sentiments, who evacuates and who doesn't, who cooperates and who resists us. We all heard it before, and we're going to call it this time. Data equals power, right? Data equals power. As far as we always know, knowledge equals power. Whatever you know equals power. They got your data. They know how you move. They know what's going on. Data equals power. They're always watching. They're always learning. You know what I'm saying? Y'all watching right now. You're watching my podcast. At least like, subscribe to it, and like it if you're gonna be watching it. All right. All right. So since y'all watching me, I'm watching y'all too. They watching, so we should be watching. Not just being aloof and just going about thinking that they're gonna take care of everything. The government just shut down. They shut SNAP down. They're doing all these things. You think about the people who just barely getting over SNAP and things like that, who, if this was closer to something like that, then they'll be kind of ass out, right? A lot of this stuff that we should have learned during COVID. There's a lot of this stuff that we should have learned from Katrina. There's every time something happens and it's over, it's not just about, oh, I remember this time and when we used to do this and when we used to do that. You have to take some of that knowledge and upgrade your system so that if something like that happens again, you're not out here falling for the okie doke and going out and buying hand sanitizers and Clorox wipes and tissue when there's a whole big other problem going on. You understand? You see how they aim people at that, had us standing 6 feet apart and whatever, and talking about you got to get the vaccine, you don't got to get the vaccine, and how it just kind of, I always say, if prior to COVID, if you had told Americans, I ain't have my mic on. Hopefully y'all can hear me good. Prior to COVID, if you had told Americans that they would have to be rationed out toilet paper and rationed out anything from the grocery store, then they probably would have had a fit. But once all of that kind of happened, it just kind of worked their way in there real easy. And nobody really even paid attention to it or said anything about it, right? Another thing to think about, because we're all young and spry, still part of the community. We're talking about community. My mom lives in Mississippi. My mom has a pacemaker and one kidney, and she's healthy. She's doing good on a regular day. But during something like this, of course I'm going to worry about her because she got a pacemaker. Her heart monitor doesn't have the power and something goes on, then I'm going to be worried about my mom. I can't get to her real fast because it's 4 hours away. If the roads are closed, if there's ice on the roads and stuff like that, I can't be there immediately. I have to rely on my family that's around there and make sure they check on her and make sure I call her and just check on her. She's doing fine, but prolonged things, and as time goes on, of course, there's more worry that's going to be involved, and it might be a little bit like dark for y'all, but it is what it is. Who dies in disasters? It's going to be the poor, the elderly, the isolated, and the sick. These people are going to suffer during disasters. The poor, the elderly, the isolated, and the sick, because they can't move as quickly, they can't evacuate as quickly. If they do have to evacuate, some of them have, devices. I know a few people on dialysis and stuff who can't really travel, be ready to travel as some people who aren't on those types of things. And then the poor, some people don't have a reliable form of transportation. They don't have reliable shelter. Some of them, even the ones that people are out on the streets right now, the homeless population, and here in Atlanta especially, all the warming places are gonna fill up. It's gonna be overpopulated if they're even available. Elderly, a lot of people are elderly and don't really have anybody to check up on them like that. Isolated, far out, can't get calm. People can't get to you really easily. And we already talked about the sick. Katrina taught us this. COVID taught us this. The Texas freeze taught us this. Disaster don't hit everyone equally. We talked about the government shutdown. So the government is not that reliable. If they just shut down and everybody thinks that if something goes on that they're going to take care of us, we already know that they're not. Their ICE is out here snatching up people, shooting people left and right. So with government shutdown, SNAP benefits getting canceled, and food prices already climbing up and up and up, people are already feeling the squeeze. The struggle is already real. So a major disaster hitting right now, it's not going to hit everybody the same. It can be a filter. It's going to filter out those who can make it and those who can't. Now, is it intentional? Is it population control? Or is it just the brutal indifference and cold machinery of capitalism? I don't know what it is. But you know what I do know? Regardless of what it is, the result is the same. Whether it's intentional or not, whether it's a social experiment or not, the result is the same. People suffer, people die, and it's always the same people. Now I could leave it right here. I could end this episode in this dark place. You know what I'm saying? Y'all sitting there looking sad on your face and like, oh shit, why you gotta do that shit? We want you to be funny. You're supposed to be a comedian. And you know what? You're right. That ain't the sad energy. That ain't my energy at all. You know what I'm saying? So you know what? Hold on a second. I'll be right back. All right, so there we go. We can see the darkness and still choose to walk in the light. We can acknowledge the system is broken, but still refuse for the system to break us. We can remain healed. We can remain in our own integrity. Most of all, we can stay informed, right? We said data equals power, knowledge equals power. The best way to stay informed is to not just use one source of information. Don't just ask your cousin, don't just ask your pastor. Have multiple sources of information. I even like to collect information and get information from the people, the resources that I don't like. Don't just trust any one single outlet. Use your local news, international news. Don't just be the passport bros running down to Brazil to try to hunch on women. International news. Like, see what's really going on in the world. There's more to the world than that. And independent news, like this podcast and other podcasts. You can also use weather apps and alerts. Don't just be on Tinder, Bumble, out here trying to find a boyfriend or a girlfriend And a really good source y'all need to look into is ham radio. Don't sleep on ham radio. If you don't know nothing about it, I'll put some in the comments and look into it. Trust your gut, but verify your facts. If everybody's saying one thing, but you feel something different, you get a little spidey senses, your spidey senses start tingling, your Jedi force, the force kind of stirs up in you. Investigate, but stay humble. Stay woke. Don't stay paranoid. Because staying woke means staying aware, staying prepared, not staying scared. And in review, let's talk about what you control. You control your prep. You control your connections or your people. You control how you show up. Don't show up empty-handed all the time. Show up ready to work. Show up with the right mindset, at least, not just to take, act like you don't have anything or whatever. In the meantime, in between time, today, what are some things that you can stop doing that if a disaster hits that you don't even need? You can stop doing things you don't need. You can't control the weather. You can't control the government. You can't control the economy. But you can control these things right here. Your prep, your people, and how you show up. You have control over that. Being prepared is an act of self-love. It's an act of community love. So check on your people. Share resources and share knowledge. Make one move today. Don't wait until the next disaster happens. Don't wait until somebody else make a move. Don't say, oh, I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it, and then you don't do it. Make one move today. Just one. It's not hard. One little move. You didn't get hit by the storm? Cool. The next thing that comes around, whether it be a storm, whether it be whatever it might be, you're going to be more prepared for that than you were 35 minutes ago. And that's a win. So make one move today. Fill up some water bottles. Check your first aid kit. Make sure if you got an old one, if you had one, make sure it's not, all old and decrepit and crunched up. If you don't have one, go out and get one. Text a neighbor or get in contact with a neighbor. I might go down here and holler at Shorty. You know what I'm saying? I got to make a move today. So all this has been your playbook. And we all got some uncle or some old head somewhere, I might be the old head that you got. Let you know, let me get this pen working, that if you stay ready, you don't have to what? Get ready. So stay ready so you don't have to get ready. Stay woke, stay prepared. With that being said, I'll see y'all in the real world.